Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Pete, welcome back to Films and Stuff. It is Saturday. We already had a big breakdown of the newest Jurassic World. And now, let's take it to television, shall we?
Yes, let's do that, Ethan. Shall we talk about... So we're going to talk about today Ms. Marvel and For All Mankind.
Yes.
Both of them just launched. Ms. Marvel's first season, we don't know how many there are going to be, but the first episode just dropped this week, as did the first episode of the third season of For All Mankind. So which one would you like to start with?
Let's take Ms. Marvel because... Yeah. I mean, this is something that is really new and groundbreaking for Disney. They've been pushing it quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I didn't know anything about it because it is a relatively newly created Marvel character. What was your expectation or what was your familiarity coming into this?
So,
did you know what to expect?
In terms of expectations, none. Not in a good way, in the sense that I didn't have any expectations. I knew of the character. You're right. She's relatively new to the Marvel universe, the comic book universe. Mm-hmm. And the only reason I know of her is because when the character was announced, it made a splash in the comic book world. Because she is not just a female superhero, but she is also the first, South Asian superhero, or, to be more specific, Pakistani American superhero, right? So it's very rare to see a Muslim superhero, and even more rare to see a Muslim superhero from, South Asia, in this case Pakistan, but, a Desi character.
Is she Pakistani?
Yes.
The character is Pakistani, but she is Pakistani as well, correct?
Oh, the actor?
Yeah, Iman Vellani.
Iman Vellani.
Honestly,
I don't know. I don't know because I think this is like one of her first few ever roles.
It's the only credit that she has.
So,
actually.
She is inaugural in every way.
She's quite good, though. Were you impressed by her?
Yes, I thought so. I thought it was quite interesting. I thought she was very interesting as an actor.
Yeah. Like, I thought she had, I thought she was quite good on screen. And I thought that as a narrator, she was exceptional.
Right.
I also didn't have I just didn't know anything about this character. And to be honest, as you know, the Marvel universe is so wide now that it's hard to keep up with everything. So I really wasn't sure. I only caught a few articles about how Ms. Marvel is different from Captain Marvel. Mm-hmm. And that was important to me because I was not really confusing them, but I was kind of like, hey, what's going on here? We only saw one episode. I mean, I thought that episode was very, very good, but it is clearly, I think, positioned for a younger audience. Do you agree?
Yes. I think it's because the character herself is high school, maybe late middle school, early high school.
Yeah.
They weren't very clear about how old she is.
She fails her driving exam,
right?
Oh,
so she's in the US. So it'll be 15, like 9th or 10th grade, yeah.
Yeah, she's 15, 16 in here.
So she's still in high school. She's certainly, at this point, certainly younger than Peter Parker. In any case, so, she's... I think the art style is also very much interesting, right? Yeah. Because you see a lot of like hand-drawn animation,
a lot
stop
of little
motion.
Animation. Yes.
It's what you would expect someone her age stereotypically would do. She's got her own YouTube channel. So, there were lots of little things, the little nods to her comic book origin, or not her comic book origin, but her comic book personality, which came out, which I thought was nice.
Yeah. I mean, after one episode, it's always hard to, get a read on something, right? Because there's always a lot of backstory in the first episode. I mean, for me, the backstory, I thought this was a very, very well-produced show. I thought, to be honest, actually, there were some kind of humorous and funny parts. But I mean, obviously, for me, it was very much gravitated towards a younger audience, that wouldn't have grown up with Iron Man and, kind of Thor, for example, Hulk, for example, trying to introduce them a little bit younger to the Marvel Universe through Ms. Marvel. And obviously, it was directed a little bit towards kind of the angsty teenager who feel like they're a little bit of an outcast, either due to popularity or their family or something else, right? And they make a lot of references to, her heritage and,
culture, I think, is going to play a very strong element in this show, which I actually like. I think that it's going to play, the religion and the cultural expectations are going to play very strongly into this.
Were you comfortable with it?
I was, because it wasn't done in a pandering way, and it was also done very accurately, in the sense that there was no negative depiction, there was no positive depiction. It was, hey, look, this is just how things are. We're a modern Muslim family, we're a modern South Asian family, and, this is kind of what's expected of our son and our daughter.
I felt it came a little bit strong.
Okay.
But, I think that's to obviously drive the point across a lot, especially in the first episode. That they're obviously trying to make that a important part of the backstory. So, I felt that there were just a lot of references. They spent a lot of time kind of at the family dining room table. They spent a lot of time with kind of like the aunties, like gossiping about their daughters and stuff. It was a backstory episode, so I guess I understand that. But obviously they pushed it very hard so that it wasn't a blink and you miss it. It was, hey, this is a really significant part of her identity. She feels like she's an outsider because she believes that she's a minority, or her family is very, conservative, or they don't allow her to do a lot of other things that she feels like her peers and her classmates can do. And for me, I thought it was done well and respectfully. But again, as a older man, it's hard for me to, I identify more with Iron Man, right? Or even Thor or Bruce Banner than I do with Ms. Marvel. And that's okay. I don't think I'm their demographic, and I still like Marvel stuff. But it was hard for me to kind of like really, really get into it. I'm like, okay, I get the point. Like, let's move on and understand,
I get
where
that.
the powers come from.
I totally get that. I think culturally it resonated very much with me. Yeah. Obviously I'm, Indian, so it makes sense. So a lot of those things there are a lot of similarities and a lot of parallels. There's a lot of familial expectations set by a mother or father figure. In this case, it seems a little bit more, the family seems to be a more matriarchal than it does patriarchal. Mm-hmm. It's, and there's certainly elements that, I look at, I appreciate and laughed at because I've witnessed it. I've seen it. Like, it's very common to see the aunties all sitting together and gossiping about other people's children. And especially, if one child who is Desi is getting into a relationship with non-Desi, so there were a lot of elements of like that familial gossip, and so there was a lot of elements of things that I related to or understood because I myself have seen that. I get it. So that's why I thought it was quite strong, and that's why I didn't seem like it was pandering too much or came out too much, like hammering it home, because it felt familiar to me. Which is which is an element of something that, generally speaking, Marvel doesn't really push in their other shows or in their other movies.
It's happening more now. That. We see Moon Knight, which was strongly, centered around the Middle East and that culture. And now you see, Ms. Marvel, which, as you mentioned, is, South Asian culture. So it's obvious that they're taking a little bit of a pivot and, making their cast of characters a little bit more well-rounded, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that it reflects a little bit more also on the fact that the universe of characters are no longer limited to either gods or Americans.
Yeah. Although the last character they had was who is the lady in Doctor Strange? America Chavez, right?
Xochitl Gomez.
Yes, correct.
I learned how to say that name, by the way, finally.
Well done. So can we, I mean, again, I was a little bit surprised there's only one episode. I thought at least they do kind of two to give me a little bit more flavor because, again, like one went a little bit, it wasn't like slow, but for me, I was kind of like, okay, I get it. Comes from a conservative family. She's angsty in high school. Let's get to the point. Let's get to the point. Get to the point. Like,
although it does end with her getting her powers, which is nice, right?
So is that it? Like she finds an heirloom banglet or wrist armband.
Yeah, so she's got her bangles, right? I don't know what it is. Now, my understanding is, and again, listeners, aloha at filmsandstuffpodcast.com. If I'm wrong or, tweet at us at F&S Podcast. If I remember correctly, I believe that Kamala Khan was an inhuman and that she was exposed to the Terrigen Mist. These are all MCU comic terms or Marvel comic terms. And that the Terrigen Mist unleashed the inhuman or the superpowers in her. Whereas in this show, I think they're implying that the bangles unlocked the powers with her, which would seem to imply that
like her mom,
her grandmother, and like the women in her family have always had these powers. I don't know. We're going to find out. Certainly, at least her grandmother and her mother. And I think her mother was like, I don't want this life. I'm going to pretend like I'm a normal human woman and I don't want to be a superhero. I just want to have a family and raise a beautiful son and daughter and that's it. And so, I think that's probably where we're going to see this thing where she doesn't want her daughter to go down the path that her grandmother did.
I like this. That all checks out. But just because you and I like to destroy plots, if you really had a magic bangle and you didn't want anyone to use it, would you put it maybe in a lockbox or hide it somewhere a little bit better than just like the attic?
Yeah, I don't disagree. But sometimes, you destroy the value of something by treating it like just a trinket, right? So then why would your daughter be interested in that if she's just like, well, this is nothing, and she throws it away? And if your daughter is rebellious and you're like, well, I'm going to put this into a safe, all of a sudden your daughter is like, hey, there's got to be something to that bangle, right? And then she's going to start thinking, hey, and then when she finally does wear it, she's got to be thinking, hey, that means mom knew about this. That means grandma knew about this. What's going on here? Right?
Oh, there's some interesting reverse psychology.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I am doing a Mr. Fantastic job of twisting and contorting myself to make that work. I fully agree. I'm just trying to say that's a potential way to think about it. Yeah. I still don't know how this works because I thought she was an inhuman. Again, if I'm wrong, please let us know. I thought she was an inhuman and that her powers were unlocked. I didn't think, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe the bracelet has some connection to it. We don't know yet. We'll figure it out.
So do you think this is after one episode, would you subscribe to Disney TV Plus for this?
No, and I think in general, my feeling to everyone is when it's an inaugural show it's the pilot episode of an inaugural show, I would strongly recommend holding off until we get more reviews and more watch time before subscribing. Like, for example, when we're going to talk about For All Mankind. For All Mankind, season 3 launched. I'm comfortable after having watched the first episode to say you should subscribe to Apple TV for this. But for Ms. Marvel, I would say, hey, look, I'm not going to give it a score yet, but I don't think you should run out and subscribe to it because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if the show is any good or not. We just don't know. Having said that, so far, it seems like it's a good show.
Yeah, there's something that in these shows always kind of catches me, and maybe that's because I'm so far removed from like junior high or high school, which is in some ways they try to portray the characters as so young. And then in other ways, they make them seem like so mature. Example, Kamala Khan, is told by her parents basically to go to your room, do your homework, don't go out after dinner, right? And then somehow she's like sitting on the rooftop of some type of building with her best, boyfriend, right?
Yeah, I mean, her best friend, who I think is eventually going to be her boyfriend, because that's how this always works out.
Like, no one, and he seems to live by himself, and he in an apartment, and he's just like an inventor, right?
Yeah.
Like,
he's tinkering at the bodega, he's tinkering at his apartment.
Come on.
Yeah.
Like, who actually sits on a rooftop, like in the middle of the night, and like, that kind of stuff,
high schooler does. Exactly.
Yeah, that kind of stuff just drives me crazy, where they tried to make them like kids. Like, oh, I'm so excited about, Comic-Con. I'm going to get my outfit. I'm planning the perfect thing, and lunch and gym class and all those other like angsty things. But at the same time, it's like, it's midnight. No big deal. I'm just going to like chat with this dude, like sitting on a rooftop, like I'm Batman, like no big deal, like.
Yeah.
I know that's like part of storytelling. But for me, that's one of the things that like drives me nuts about these kind of like teen characters, is that they want them to be young, but like in mature settings at the same time, right?
Well, and full disclosure, Ethan and I are no longer in high school. And it has been a very long time since we've been in high school.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Maybe that's what high schoolers do now. I don't know.
So ladies, don't be shy about filmsandstuff at gmail.com, right?
Yeah. Let us know.
What's our email? Aloha at filmsandstuff.com.
Aloha at filmsandstuffpodcast.com.
I feel like everyone just thought, based on our voices, that we were in high school. So no one was like messaging us because they're afraid of like some type of child protection laws, but we assure you that's not the case.
You will not get Me Too'd by us. Don't worry.
We're both 22.
Yeah. Exactly.
And 3/4.
Yeah. So yes. Look, overall,
not much more to say about Ms. Marvel, though, because we've only seen one episode.
One episode. I think it was a relatively strong start to the series. Yeah. I will say I'm very excited to see more of it culturally, and also how they integrate into the MCU overall. I've got my hopes up. I think you should watch it when you get a chance, but at the same time, I would say if you don't have Disney Plus, don't go out and get Disney Plus just for this show.
Did you laugh at all during this show? I laughed when the mom made the Hulk outfits, Big Hulk and Little Hulk.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was very funny. I laughed at that.
And so sweet and endearing as well. Yeah, so sweet and endearing. So yeah,
because that seems like there's some, as I was kind of ripping on the show, saying there's some parts that don't seem realistic to being a kid. That seems very realistic, where the parents trying to do something nice, do something weird, and the kid kind of
something quote unquote cringeworthy, right?
Yeah, exactly. and the kid kind of scorches on them and then feels like guilty about scorching on them. I think we've all kind of been in that situation. I thought
who hasn't done that before?
Pretty realistic, We've all gotten that thing that's not quite what we wanted, and we scorched on our parents, and then we thought about like, they're trying.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so
let's swiftly
Ms. Marvel.
Move on. Yeah,
let's switch gears to my favorite.
Let's rock it out into space.
My really favorite, Season 3 For All Mankind. The first episode of Season 3 just dropped on Apple TV+. I watched
Came out of left field. Loved
breathlessly. And can I say one thing before we start?
Yes.
I think this is a masterpiece in storytelling. And storytelling to me, between seasons or in films between like sequels, is not going through every single detail and telling us how they got there. Like we see
chef's kiss.
Exactly. Karen has a new business and she's with a new husband. How did she get here? We don't know, but that's the beauty of this.
I'm sorry. Wait, let me just interrupt quickly. Are they married or are they just business partners? I got the at first I thought they were married. But then I quickly thought, oh, I don't think they're married. I think they're just business partners. Because she wasn't sleeping with him. They were in different rooms.
Oh, you might be right. I have to say, maybe I was assuming, but you might be right on
I
that.
think so too, because my initial instinct was as well. But I don't think so. I think all three of them were friends when they were married, when Ed was still married to Karen.
Yeah, probably about
And
right.
I think it was just that she came to him and said, listen, I sold you this business, which has now become a franchise. You've got a ton of money. Let's make this thing happen.
Okay. But
And I've got my issues with that too, by the way.
You're right there. Joel Kinnaman, Ed, does have a new wife, though, clearly, right?
Yes.
And again,
Yvonne.
And it's like, so for me, again, the storytelling is like, they were married. We saw them. They had kind of a big blow up. Obviously, they got divorced. Ed met somebody. We don't know how. We can only imagine, did they pick up at a bar, or he's a celebrity now, or whatever it is. For me, that's such good storytelling is that they just fast forward.
The montage that, that 2-3 minute long montage
I want to watch
that
it
they
again.
showed.
I want to watch it again.
And honestly, you're right. The montage that they showed, which covered the 10 years between season 2 and season 3, was masterfully done. And
some
for
of it true and some of it not true.
Well, exactly. Yeah. For an alternate history show, they did it perfectly. Right? Mm-hmm. They sprinkled some true to life things. They sprinkled some fake alternate history things. They made it look like these are true major events that happened in the last 10 years between Ellen Waverly, my favorite, is now a senator running for president as the Republican nominee against Bill Clinton. And so you're just like, oh, wow. Okay. So, those are some elements. They've made a movie about Gordo and, I can't remember. Tracy and Gordo, starring, Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid.
Have to look again. Dennis Quaid
as the loved up couple. It's just so they've done a lot. They did a masterful job of that. Then and then they're saying, listen, now we've shifted away. We've kind of gotten to this place now where where everyone has shifted away from the Cold War. No one's worried about nuclear missiles anymore. Now everything is the space race.
But did you catch like some of the super cool things? Like Gary Hart, right, was president.
Yes, that's right. 2
Gary
terms,
Hart,
and exactly.
Who was, his original presidential bid was derailed by a scandal, and now he was president. Moon Treaty, right? We never saw the Moon Treaty. The Outpost, right? That bar.
That becomes the massive franchise everywhere now. Exactly.
Yep. Berlin, Tokyo, LA, other places. Then there was something about like the Mikhail Gorbachev oversees like this booming Soviet economy, right?
Yeah.
So Michael Jordan drafted by the Portland Trailblazers. The Hand of God goal, not counting, right? Like so many super cool things.
Super cool.
The Beatles. Remember the Beatles got back together.
Yeah. So they did a really good job of saying, hey, look, these are all things that made headlines in the real world, but this is an alternate history. So we're going to twist it just enough that you're just like, oh, did that happen? Did that not happen? Yeah. Some obvious things that we catch, but other things we don't, they did a really good job with that. And all it took was 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, however long that montage was. And we're good. We're caught up. Yes. We don't question what's happened.
Amazing storytelling.
I know exactly where Ellen is. We know exactly where everyone else is. And I'm just like, hey, we did a 10-year fast forward with a 2-minute catch up. That's all we needed. Fantastic. Good job.
So really crazy that these characters, I mean, they've stayed roughly the same age in life, right? This has been filmed over 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
But they've played characters 10 years younger than themselves, their accurate selves,
age, and then now 10 years older. And I have to say, again, we made this comment about season 2. Yeah. What I really like is that all of the actors in this show in real life are incredibly handsome, incredibly beautiful people, right? And they have not been afraid to say, hey, look, by the way, you're going to be a frumpy lady, and we're going to make you look like a frumpy lady.
Margot.
In Margot. We're going to make
Margot's the only one who's frumpy, by the way. They don't do that to anyone else.
No, Margot, who's now lost her sight, by the way, right?
She's, no, not Margot. That's Molly.
That's Molly. Margot and Molly as well, right?
Yeah.
And the same goes also for Danielle Poole. She doesn't look frumpy, but she doesn't look...
Yeah, they make her very buttoned up and conservative.
And then they make even Ed. He's old. He's got the graying hairs. He's now injecting himself with some kind of substance to keep himself. We don't know what it is, but certainly that's going to play a role in the future of this mission.
I hope there's been a study about injecting yourself with steroids in space. That seems like the wrong time.
No, and this is, again, also the same man who looks at that elevator shaft and says, I'm not going to be able to make this climb. You better do it, right? Like, whereas the Ed of season 2 would have kicked that kid and said, screw you, I'm doing this on my own, right? Yeah. These are all people who are acknowledging their age and their weaknesses, and it's really good to see because that's showing not just physical maturity but emotional maturity as well. I really like that.
Did you like episode 1? What's your thought on episode 1?
I think episode 1 sets the table really well. I don't think it's very good. I don't think it's very bad. There are certain things that I didn't particularly like.
Yeah,
like I get it. And this is maybe baggage from season 2, but like, how is a bar owner who sells her business going to her investor and becoming a partner in a space hotel? Like that, I'm sorry, man. The finances just don't add up. You sold the bar for $200,000 or $100,000, whatever. It was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yep.
Right? And 10 years ago, you are not a part owner of this franchise anymore because you sold the franchise outright. Or not even a franchise, but the guy made it a franchise. And you come to me and say you want to make a space hotel and I'm going to fund it for you. That thing's going to cost billions of dollars. What are you talking about?
I have to say, the space hotel, I mean, I love the show, so I'm very forgiving of it, but the few things that really bothered me is first of all, when you see Margot, right? Margot still sleeps in her office.
Yeah.
And now she's got a piano in her office, a grand piano.
Like, got a drawer full of Slim Fast cans.
What kind of government agency allows this lady to have a grand piano in her office? I was just kind of like, come on. Like, I get, she used to sleeps in her office. I get it. She's very committed to work, but like, you don't get a grand piano in your office.
Yeah, but I thought that was a little much. Her bedroom's upgraded, right? Before she was sleeping on the couch and doing wet wipe showers.
Yeah.
And now, or not even a couch. It was like literally a military cot that she was folding up. And now she's got like a proper bedroom suite in there.
She's got the record player. She's got like a bottle of brandy at night. I thought it was too much. But okay, I'll go with it. Then my second comment was the space hotel itself. Like when Karen was asleep in the bed, it looked pretty posh and the bedrooms looked okay. But when everyone kind of came in off the shuttle and they were just in like the curved hallway, I mean, it looked pretty bare. Yeah. You know, like I just kind of thought the production value of that was pretty, like they didn't dress it up at all. And even kind of the wedding scene looked like it was just like a very small kind of conference room with like the most basic table and chairs and stuff. As more kind of like production complaints about it. But then I really liked the drama with the kind of the thruster stuck and the centrifugal force increasing. That felt like
for all mankind.
I liked the gravity, although I felt like once it was kind of like 1.5, I really thought everyone would start noticing things, you know? Like if you weigh 80 kg, I'm 80 kg. if I've got another 40
40
kg
on you,
me,
yeah, that's...
I notice, even 10 I probably notice.
Yeah.
But 20 I definitely notice.
I think it's because everyone was drinking. And then, what I loved that, but what I really liked was that you had that symmetry, how Ed is in his room fighting with his new wife. Yes. And she throws how he realizes that something is wrong is when she throws a shoe at him.
Yes, it doesn't go anywhere.
It lands halfway and just slams into the bed. That's when he realizes something's wrong. And simultaneously, Danielle is in her room and she figures out something's wrong. So because we figure out that, the two of them are competing.
How did Danielle figure it out? Figure it out?
That's the thing. I don't even remember, to be honest, because she's just so clinical about everything. It didn't.
I thought she noticed the flowers drooping, and then she noticed the cake. The
cake, right? Because the wedding topper sinks into the cake. Maybe that's what it was. I can't remember. But they both realized it at the same time. Yeah. I thought that was great. Yeah. And then we also realized that there may be some hidden tension there because they're both up for the same job, which is the leading the Mars mission. Yeah. Right. And I like that Molly is fighting for Ed and that Margot is fighting for Danielle. Yeah. And ultimately, I don't think it's going to be Ed because he's on some kind of drugs. I don't think it should be either of them.
Yeah. I don't think it should be either of them. I'm surprised. I mean, this is one of the problems with series is that you've got to be thinking ahead. You've got to be developing your talent pool for the next season, right? Like now. Well, no,
I think that's what it's going to be. I think it's going to be the kid. The guy who just, Gordo's kid. I think he's going to be like, oh, well, now I'm now a hero like my parents were. I saved this hotel and space station. He's already an astronaut. And so
did you think he was knocked off the ship when the cable hit him after he closed the thruster? Did you think that he was lost?
I didn't think so. He would be. I didn't think he would be because there was still a lot more tension that was to be had in terms of TV show between him and Karen. Right.
You think they're going to get back together?
What a wonderful FU to Karen. And I make no bones about it. I can't stand Karen.
Was it an FU or was it a tribute? I love Karen. I love that you and I disagree so much on Karen.
Yeah, this is wonderful. This is going to be because by the end of, I'm pretty sure it's by the end of this season or the next, one of them is going to be gone from this show. I have a sneaking suspicion.
It has to be Karen because they cannot make Karen another 10 years older, right?
Maybe. You never know. We don't know. I just think the way I look at it is that it's just, they're already setting it up for something, right? Because she looks at Ed dancing with Yvonne and Yvonne goes out of her way to justify the reason why she wasn't invited to the wedding. Cause she's like, oh, it was just a small thing we threw impromptu in the backyard. It was a very small thing, but obviously why would you want to invite this guy's ex-wife there? And
of course
she's natural, right? And and you can tell that they're clearly setting up some kind of emotional reunion or rectification because when their daughter, the adopted daughter, calls in from McMurdo, she's doing the research.
Yeah.
And he looks at Karen like, oh, look, there's our kid. And they shared that moment, but then simultaneously Karen looked wistfully at Ed when he was having a good time with Yvonne, obviously not knowing that they're fighting. And then also you saw the look of horror on her face when the music played for that first dance between the kid and his new wife. And it was the same song he played when he seduced her. I was just like, mwah, perfect, because I want you to suffer. I really want you to hurt.
Do you think, what's the kid's name? I can't remember what his name is.
Thomas?
Steve?
I don't even know. That's
Danny.
how much I can't.
It's Danny.
Yeah, that's how much I hate that kid.
No, but do you think Danny did that deliberately to her?
I don't know if he did it deliberately to her, but it happened.
I was thinking, you know what I thought was going to happen? I thought that he still had some type of crush on Karen.
Oh, what I wouldn't give for them to go at it again and then for it to blow up in both their faces. Because at this point, it's clear that Ed doesn't know that it was him that broke up the marriage, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, oh my God.
I want to see them because now he's a hero. And I mean, Karen doesn't have a job anymore. Her hotel is like in shambles, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're going to see what happens with that as well. But like, Ed is a certified American hero.
Yeah.
Danielle is a certified American hero. She was the one who basically, the handshake of peace
process.
Right? Yeah. The handshake that avoided World War III.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you have Danny, who's now become a hero, but
his parents
are
forever heroes.
Forever heroes, right? They had the statues erected at the Space Center. So what a great twist that would be if they show that it comes out that he was the cause of Ed getting divorced because he cheated because of Danny. Oh, like man, I'm 100% team Ed.
I think Ed and Danny. Imagine Ed and Danny are stuck in their like little pod
on their mission to Mars. Exactly.
And Karen's kind of like going back and forth, video calling each of them, and they intercept each other's marriages, and suddenly those two like.
She's going to be a homewrecker on every sense of the way.
Yes.
Oh my God. Because that's the thing,
I love
right?
Karen.
Like he was a I can't stand her so much. Oh my God. I want to throw her in an airlock. So I was
Space her.
Oh my God. So,
okay. What do you think of Margot? I mean, this is why the show is so good. There's so much like layered drama, right?
Oh yeah.
Margot and her relationship with Sergey.
So I'm looking forward to seeing more of that.
I mean, if you hate Karen, don't you hate Margot?
No, why?
I mean, Margot is being played for the pathetic, lonely, like Catwoman that she is.
Yeah.
By a Russian dude who's obviously manipulating her only for, like national secrets. Although, to be fair, he seems like he's kind of like a decent guy.
He does genuinely like her, but he's also caught between a rock and a hard place.
But how can you not be like just really, really angry at what Margot is doing? She's supposed to be the one leading the space race, and she's giving information to the Russians, although she's very careful to say more than once, yeah, but you've helped me with some stuff as well, to kind of not make her look like she's entirely involved in singular espionage. But I have to say, I find Margot totally, totally repulsive. She is, for me, Margot is your Karen. Does that make sense? Or Margot is my Karen.
Your Karen. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Here's the thing, right? So, and I know we talked about this in the last season breakdown as well. What I'm really hoping for is because she's a sharp cookie, right? But she's come off as super naive, right? Which is, when it comes to space stuff, she's on it. But when it comes to like not political, but like, a little bit of politics and very much interpersonal relationships, she's as dumb as the rest of us. And what would be great would be if we don't know this, but we find out that the CIA is onto her already.
Yes.
And that she's been feeding Sergey fake information, and that she turns Sergey at this conference.
I'll tell you what makes me more upset about Margot than this is that she is portrayed to be this brainiac, uber committed, like professional, right? Yet every time there's like a conversation, like the briefings in the morning, she's playing her piano, right? Like, which isn't a serious thing. Her assistant walks in, knows everything about this. Hey, this satellite just broke up, and there's some pieces over this country, and this country, right? And Margot's just kind of like, well, you should check the radar. Okay, I'll do that. And then she says something else, and she says, like, just use one line. No, not yet. Well, what about this? I'm working on it. And then, like, her assistant says something like, so that's good news. And she says, just facts, no commentary. And then her assistant says something else, and then she makes a comment saying, oh God, that's all we need now. Like I find her to be she's portrayed as this brainiac, but I find her to be so thin on the actual amount of stuff that she does, right? She's just always looking over someone's shoulder saying, oh, that's very brilliant. Or, we'll make sure you do this. That really drives me crazy about Margot, that I see her having a grand piano And I feel like maybe she's become like a little bit too like
Detached
full of her.
from the actual
Yes. So I want to see Margot go down. For me, I want to see Margot go down. I want to see the FBI take her down for espionage. And if she can start to feed Sergei some bad stuff, that would be okay to me.
Yeah.
But I really want her to go down. And then let Molly take her place.
Oh yeah, dude, that's the other thing. I love Molly. Like Molly. She has been my of all the characters in the show. Yeah. It's like I really like Ellen Waverly, but Molly's my de facto favorite of all of them.
And Molly's husband. I say Molly and Molly's husband.
Yeah, exactly. That couple for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. So like I really want to see a lot more of Molly, and I'm glad that they're keeping her on the show, still finding a good use for her. You know, she's blind now, she's reading Braille, she's got a seeing eye dog. Yeah. But I really like her. I really want her to continue.
Again, that's another great example of storytelling, right?
Yeah.
We don't know exactly what year she went blind or how the blindness set on. We knew she was struggling with her vision one season. And now this season, she's obviously has basically very little vision, if any, right? And that's wonderful storytelling.
They never allude to it. They just, you see her reading Braille.
Correct.
And then you see the seeing eye dog grumble at Margot because he doesn't like her. Yeah. And that's it. Yeah. They don't ever say, oh, well, you're blind, or this, or do you need help? None of that.
She does make a comment. They say, hey, there's no smoking in this building. And she says, well, you should put a sign up.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Which is, what a glorious
which is Molly, which is so Molly, right?
Typical Molly thing to say is like, well, if I can't see it, it's not illegal. Right.
So I was really disappointed. There was only one episode, of season 3 released
weekly. Yeah. That's the thing is all these platforms are so off about how many episodes. Some of them release 3 episodes in a go. Some of them release 2 episodes in a go. And then weekly. Yeah. It's a bit off-putting, but fine. They've done it. We've got 9 more weeks of this to go. I am very excited for this space race to Mars, and I can't wait.
So give me your prediction, because one big thing that we know now is that Alita is going to be going to the moon.
The moon, yeah.
To work on this engine, right?
Yep.
Give me your prediction. What happens?
With Alita?
Like, is it it's just a side story? She becomes stranded up there. She dies. They decide to take her directly from
I think they take her from the moon to the Mars. Yeah. I think that makes sense, right? Like they take her on. They're like, listen, this is a very sensitive thing. Yep. We're going to train you to get up there. Yep. You go to the moon. You fix this nuclear missile rocket that take us there. And you're going to be the engineer on this mission now.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to promote you to engineer.
Yeah. They've really been working on getting a bigger role for her.
Yeah.
A bigger role for Danny. We still need some other people kind of introduced because we lost Gordo. Oh, God bless Gordo.
Yeah.
We lost
Tracy. Yeah.
Right? Ellen, who's now running for president, is
We're still going to see Ellen some way, somehow,
We're going to see her some way, somehow.
So here's the thing is, I imagine if she doesn't if she doesn't win the presidential race, and I don't think she will because you want her still to be a part of the show. And if she's president, like you can't have the president sitting in on meetings with the NASA board every day. Like that's implausible. Even for this show, that's implausible. Yeah. I imagine what happens is she loses, but then somehow comes back to NASA. Or maybe she becomes like the head of the administration. Right? Maybe Margot gets kicked out or demoted for her dalliance with the Soviets, and Ellen comes in to replace her.
Yeah. Or she takes over one of the private companies, right? And they become kind of like a competitor to NASA.
Yes. Maybe because remember, her father was also saying, you got to get out of this. You got to come into space, make real money. And maybe she heads up Helios, the competitor.
You're right. I imagine. So I think Pam comes back And her relationship is exposed somehow. Even though in this time frame, it wouldn't be so scandalous. I think it would be the fact that she like kind of covered it up and she had this fake marriage. I think that becomes her Gary Hart moment. She's exposed. The fallout's very negative, that she's supposed to be this, well, she's a conservative candidate, right?
Conservative Republican candidate who's not supposed to be a lesbian. Yep. Exactly.
So she either drops out of the race or loses, and then she takes on a competitor to NASA. And suddenly, we don't need NASA anymore. We're a private company. We can do it better. And then let's see if she starts to poach everybody.
Great. And whoever loses the mission, whether it's Danielle or Ed, works with Ellen as the competitor, so it becomes that, right?
They're saying, NASA, you're doing it in 2026, so we'll do it in 2025.
So it kind of becomes the Russian government versus the U.S. government versus a private American corporation.
And that is, Pete, what we always say is you've got to triangulate. You cannot have just a bilateral conflict. You've got to have three parties so that people can team up. It adds the third dimension.
It makes things a little bit spicier, right?
So that people can team up. Yeah. Because then you see, you know what? We'll team up with Russia or we'll team up with someone else.
Yeah. Oh my God. Imagine if they teamed up with North Korea. Right? Because we've already because they've started talking about how they're using old Soviet equipment.
Yeah.
We saw that they failed and that's why the space station, the space hotel got hurt.
Yeah.
What if this corporation says, hey, you know what? We're going to work with the Korean government. They're the ones willing to fund us.
Yep.
Right? And so it becomes, there's so many ways it could go. And all of them could be super spicy. I love it.
Yeah. Do you think the Danny's younger brother, who obviously has a lot of emotional trauma.
Oh, yeah.
You think he's going to continue to have a big role
He's going to muck it up somehow, and then he's going to get a hero moment, I think. Or no, actually, I don't know if he is, because when you've got two kids and one of them's already got the hero moment, you don't necessarily need the other one to have a hero moment.
Yeah. I mean, I hope that's kind of the last we see of him.
Yeah, he was kind of miserable.
The weirder, kind of emotionally unstable brother is just not a good look for anyone. I don't think we need to focus on that.
I don't know if this show has space for it. No pun intended.
But we do need some other people to fill in the gaps. We got Danny, who's graduated to be older now. We got Alita, who's taking a bigger role. We lost Gordo. We lost Molly. That's, for me,
I thought we were going to see, and maybe we will, but you remember the two other crew members who were with Ed on that final mission?
Yeah.
I thought we were going to see more of them.
I do not want to see more Kelly. I don't like Kelly at all.
Kelly is which one again?
Kelly's their adopted daughter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, fine. But she's definitely going to play a part because the whole point of her researching on McMurdo was that she's researching microbial things that they might find on Mars, right? Or setting up experiments. So
you're thinking of Bird Dog. There was Bird Dog, and there was
the guy who was wearing the Air Force cap. He was Navy or the other way around.
That's Bird Dog.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get more people. But anyway, absolutely, for me, it's a must watch. It's, I think, one of the better episodes.
It's so compelling. And again, to give a quick recap, the first episode does a wonderful job of catching you up between seasons 2 and 3 of what's happened. It gives you a very good idea of where everyone is post catch up. And it leaves the door open to so many different potential opportunities for where the season's going to go. And because of that, I'm telling you right now, I think this is a must subscribe to Apple TV for. I think hands down,
agree.
I will say that you are not going to be disappointed. And I found out, I told Ethan this morning, or late last night, I can't remember, you sent out that article. Apparently there's a 7-season story arc. And which means wonderful. That means there's at least another.
Mars.
Which means there's at least another 4 years, right? So unless they pull a Game of Thrones, I think this is going to be amazing.
We're going to Mars for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but that also, if they continue with the timelines, that also all but guarantees that this is, if not this next season, is probably the last we see of Ed, Molly, all of these guys because they're going to get aged out. You don't get to fly 8 months or 7 months to a different planet and then also continue on. Unless they keep doing each season a year apart, I think that's going to be a problem.
I totally agree. I mean, yeah, that's what I've been saying, which is...
Right. Unless they go with their generation, right? Then you have more of Kelly, you have more of Danny. That could be it. I don't know.
I do not need more Kelly. Danny, yes.
I'll take anyone except Karen.
No, keep Karen. Karen can stay as long as she wants, in my opinion.
She's out.
I'll trade you Karen for Margot.
I'm if both have to go, I'll make that sacrifice. I love Margot, but I will make that sacrifice. That's how much I dislike him.
I mean, I just can't imagine any government office. Someone's like, you know what? Can you just bring in a grand piano? Because I like to play the piano in the morning when I think about my daily briefings.
I don't know, man. I think that's not a big deal.
Are you out of your mind? Who do you think you are that you get
if you're the head of the space program that's basically setting the terms for everything else and international I don't know. I think they will give a lot of leeway to her. I think she gets a lot of leeway.
All right, grand piano leeway. It seems like that's our new catchphrase. Is how much leeway? Grand piano leeway.
Yeah.
All right, Pete. We have discussed Ms. Marvel, episode 1. We have discussed season 3 of For All Mankind. And there's a lot of stuff on television. Next episode, we turn our attention to Netflix and Adam Sandler's Hustle, which is a tribute to basketball and the NBA. If you're a huge basketball NBA fan, yeah? Indeed.
And if you're not a fan, if you're a fan of Adam Sandler, also not bad. It is not your typical Adam Sandler laugh fest or, fart jokes.
If you liked Uncut Gems, it's more of that.
It's more aligned to Punch Drunk Love, Uncut Gems, to all the more serious movies that Adam Sandler has done. This is not a movie that's going to make you laugh the way his normal fare does. This is a movie that's going to make you, quite pleased with it.
Not Happy Gilmore.
Not Happy Gilmore, which I also love, by the way. But yes, this is not in the same league as Happy Gilmore. Also, no pun intended.
Indeed.
All right, everyone.
Pete, thank you for your time. Tell our listeners where they can email us for comments and get a free hoodie. Films and Stuff has hoodies now.
That's right. You can reach out to us at aloha@filmsandstuffpodcast.com or tweet at us at F&S Podcast. Reach out to us. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. If you've got recommendations, we're always looking for new shows or even old shows that we may have missed. Heck, if you think we've said, made an opinion that you wholeheartedly disagree with or agree with, tell us about it. Yell at us. Tell us you love us. Tell us you hate us. Whatever it is, we want to hear from you.
For Pete, please let him know how much you love Karen on For All Mankind. He loves those
God's
comments.
Sakes. Those will go straight to spam.
The longer, the better.
Straight to the trash can.
Okay, everybody. Pete, pleasure as always.
Thank you,
We'll catch
Ethan.
you guys next episode, Films and Stuff.
Bye guys.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.